What's up, everyone? Alex Rossman here, and welcome to Rossman Radio, the social first podcast where founders and industry leaders stop pretending everything's amazing and they tell the real stories, the wins, the failures, the why did I even start this moments, all of it. Most importantly, we break down the marketing strategies that are actually working for them today, not the ones some guru made up in a hotel conference room in 2016. So if you want real-world growth strategies told by the ones who have scaled multi-million-dollar brands, just listen.
Welcome back to Rossman Radio, the show where we talk with leaders across different industries about how they actually market and grow their businesses. I'm Rob Nichols, Director of Strategy at Rossman Media. Today we're getting into a category that's very competitive and pretty complicated, online ticketing. My guest is Jeff Goodman, who has been in the ticketing industry since I think about 2010, and now leads marketing for TicketSmarter, a major player in the secondary ticket marketplace. We're going to talk about what it takes to market tickets in a world dominated by the giants of the industry, how TicketSmarter uses channels like search, social, sponsorships, affiliates, and how they think about standing out when the product looks very similar across providers. So Jeff, thanks for joining me.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Rob. Thanks for having me today.
Thank you. Well, to get everybody on the same page, can you give listeners a quick overview of TicketSmarter and your role there?
You bet. Yes, my name is Jeff Goodman. I'm the CEO of TicketSmarter. You are correct. I've been in ticketing since 2010. TicketSmarter is an online marketplace where people can buy and sell tickets. Predominantly, you think of us with respect to the secondary market, but we will have primary inventory depending on what the event is. At any given time, we have anywhere from 125,000 to 150,000 events on sale across the globe, but mostly concentrated in North America. We sell tickets across concerts, sports, theater, any live event pretty much you can think of.
Gotcha. And you mentioned that you've been there since like 2010. What originally pulled you into this industry, and what's kept you interested, through all the changes in the past, decade plus?
You bet. I was actually a recruiter prior to being in the ticketing space, and back in 2010, my wife and I were discussing alternate ways to potentially earn income, and it was right around the time where there was the mortgage crisis, and like I said, I was in the recruiting space, and it was taking a little bit of a downturn, and I had always sold tickets. We're based in Kansas City, but I had always sold like extra tickets to the Royals and the Chiefs on secondary websites, and really what prompted it was The Decision. If you're an NBA fan, if you remember The Decision by LeBron, I came into work the next day and I thought to myself, I think that that the first Heat game is actually going to be at formerly Sprint Center, now T-Mobile Center. And that'll be the first time he puts on a Heat jersey. And let me go check that. And sure enough, he was. And I went and purchased at the time, I think it was $7,000 or $8,000 worth of tickets and put it on my American Express card. And we had 70 or 80 tickets to sell, and put them on StubHub and, the secondary eBay at the time. And, but even Craigslist, because I had so many tickets or what I considered at the time, so many. And that's when I actually interacted with some people, and a person said, "Hey, can you help me with Usher? He's going to be coming." And I knew I had a pre-sale through Amex, and I said, "Yeah, I can help with that," and ended up helping her facilitate getting like front row seats and a meet and greet. And so we said, "All right, we're going to try to turn this into a business." So it was a side business, side hustle, if you will, for a couple of years while I was still recruiting. In 2012, when the All-Star game came to Kansas City, Major League Baseball, it kind of got to a point where it was becoming too much, and we turned it into a full-time business. And we launched TicketSmarter in 2019, and that's when we really started focusing on a full complement of marketing channels, not just pay-per-click. From 2012 until 2019, we had a number of sites that we ran that were they weren't really branded. It was just kind of trying to attract attention to people to purchase in the from the pay-per-click PPC market space landscape. But in 2019, when we launched Ticket Smarter, we started really looking at, SEO and looking at sponsorships and branding and awareness and trying to figure out ways we could actually create credibility in the space and for people to feel comfortable in purchasing from Ticket Smarter. Because like you said, there's a lot of players in this space, and most of the players have a lot of the same inventory simultaneously.
Yeah, so let's dig into that. That's one of the reasons why I thought it would be interested to have you on the show, and because I'm fascinated by this industry too, having worked in similar, ticketed attraction spaces, which is when there's all that parity, when everybody has the same industry or inventory, which channels are you using that you're finding the most effective? Is it an all-out arms race on PPC, or are there pockets where you found that you have sort of an advantage, whether that's like social media, on the SEO front? Tell me a little bit about your marketing strategy and what's worked for you guys so far.
Sure, Rob. I mean, we have used what I would call all of the different channels, from affiliate marketing to social media and pay-per-click advertising, as well as sponsorship, and trying to grow our SEO. It's interesting. It is a constantly evolving and constantly moving target, because what might have worked in 2015 or worked in 2019 maybe does not work now. And definitely pay-per-click advertising, which is the largest channel really for this entire space, because it still is the dominant way that people search. It has the most, but it has the most spend. It's very competitive. The big players in the industry are each spending north of $10 million a month, and to compete with that is difficult. But obviously, the landscape is very vast with what we do, which makes it very unique. As we have, if you want to call it, 150,000 plus SKUs, if you will, and it's even more than that, because not only are there thousands and thousands of performers, and when I say a performer, whether that's Post Malone or Adele or the Kansas City Chiefs or the Knicks, those are all considered quote unquote performers that you could be advertising for. You also have the venues that are ways, that's another way that people look up these performers. And so those are, and there's thousands of venues, whether it's Madison Square Garden or Barclays Center or T-Mobile Center or T-Mobile Arena. And so there's a lot of different ways people search. And that's why in pay-per-click, we've found certain things over the years that have worked for us, and that constantly changes. It is a challenge because the costs for pay-per-click advertising seem to continue to rise. And we try to find ways that we can find things that will work for us. From an SEO standpoint, we've had some success there, and with partnering with different entities. Well, we've had a lot of success in partnering with a lot of people in the sports space, specifically colleges and conferences and bowl games. But we've looked for any different way that we can try to get eyeballs on Ticket Smarter, and for people to get to Ticket Smarter inexpensively, if you will. So we've taken what I would call a grassroots approach. Although we do have relationships where we are like an authorized marketplace of Major League Baseball, which is obviously a major league, but we have a lot of partnerships with small minor league teams across football and basketball, and a lot of college teams, whether it's in Division I, Division II, Division III. We figure that if those people are attending those kind of events, they probably also go to concerts, and they go to major sporting events and festivals, and so we've had some success there. We work through social media. We've found some niche areas where we're successful with social media, and we have over 200 plus affiliate relationships where we do rev share arrangements, and we've had a lot of success there. With those kind of arrangements as well. It seems if you want to survive in this space, you need to have a well-rounded approach towards marketing to try to get as many eyeballs as possible on TicketSmarter, and we take bottom line, we take a very aggressive approach with our pricing structures. Most everybody has the same stuff, and we try to come out cheaper than everyone else and keep our overhead low and pass that savings on to the consumer, because ultimately we know people hate paying fees, and if we can keep those fees down, then people will be more likely to purchase from TicketSmarter.
Agreed. And the part of the reason I find your industry so fascinating is that yeah, exactly what you said. You've got the event level targeting and the event level focus that you can have on specific sets of tickets, or even venue level. And then you've got overall what you're trying to do long term, right, is build trust with people who purchase from you and make sure that they, when they think about booking again, they've had a good experience and they want to come back to TicketSmarter. Even if, like, I would liken it to more of like airline tickets that are, or hotel tickets that are booked from booking.com or from, these different, they're all selling the same inventory, but some of them, the UX is better. It's a smooth experience. It saves your info. So, for the next time you get alerts when prices drop, things that help build trust and that give you repeat customers and that loyalty, which when you're all using the same inventory is really valuable. How have you worked to? Yeah, right. I feel like it's that industry, everybody's trying to eat from the same pie, but it's if you do what you do well, you can build that loyalty over time. That must be invaluable. How many customers would you say, or do you know, come back for more than one event for you guys? Do you have that kind of data?
Sure. And there's a lot of industry data out there from different publications, but in general, the average person goes to 2 events a year. I mean, most do not do, it's 2 or less. So, 2 is about the number, and there's obviously plenty of people that do 1 or none, and so it's very interesting. And in our perspective, we are trying to increase where we're getting 20, where we're 20 to 30% of repeat customers, and we're trying to get that number to go up, because there's no question that repeat business, no question that saying out there, is it harder or more expensive to obtain a new customer? Of course, 100%. If you can, the conversion rates on a repeat, somebody that's looking for TicketSmarter or looking for a given brand, most people will say that is typically between 5 and 10% conversion rate, whereas you're south of 1%, on new customers. So it's a night and day difference in what it costs to acquire that customer. So we're constantly looking for ways that we can improve so that we can get more repeat business.
Do you use any tools? I know there's like people who, especially who are spread out around multiple marketing channels. Do you use any like omni-channel measurement tools to help you determine where your lowest acquisition cost is, or how you want to shift budget around, or is that kind of a manual process with your internal team?
There's some tools that we have internally that we are able to use, and it's some custom stuff that we've done to try to be able to keep track of everything, and it's something that we're doing on definitely a monthly basis, and even a granular as a day-to-day basis, looking at what is working versus not working, and it is very granular. I mean, we launch ads, whether it's especially in whether it's social media or pay-per-click. We could launch something one day and it's performing well, so we can throw more dollars at it, but then we can launch something and literally 72 hours later we have to kill it because we're spending and it's just not performing. And with a lot of what we do, at least relating to some of the channels, you're able to very quickly see what the results are. Now, obviously, if you're sponsoring a team or a college or a conference, a bowl game, whatever it might be, that's going to be a longer road to being able to measure success. And definitely with the way people shop and people go and they look, and then they look again, and then they have to talk to their family or friends to decide if they want to go. There may be multiple times that they hit the website before they ultimately make a decision, or they may go through multiple channels before they decide whether they're going to purchase from Ticket Smart, which we definitely see that with some significant frequency where it's over 30% of the time where someone has gone through. They could have seen a TV commercial, then they got a Facebook ad, and then they went to the internet and they went into Google and actually came through an ad. So that is not uncommon.
Completely agree, and I'm glad that you guys understand that. I think the one of the cardinal mistakes of any, especially smaller brands just starting out and dipping their toe into, the digital marketing space in an industry like yours, is where we're chasing the absolute lowest, like last click conversion, right? And then all your eggs in one basket. You're not spread out where you need to be, and not touching your customers where they need to see to see ads multiple times in order to build that retention. And like there's multi-touch attribution funnels are pretty standard, and you would think that this would be a more widely used thing, but I feel like people don't always assign weights to those things. They see it's kind of all or nothing. It's like, well, they came from Google because they clicked on an ad and then made the purchase. Yeah, but where else did we reach them? And I feel like one thing you said that I think is really important to point out that we've seen change. Usually that learning phase, if you had enough budget, you could go through it fairly quickly, but it was still, you wanted to give it a good, set of days so you get a solid sample size. The one thing with a lot of the machine learning that Google and Meta and even TikTok now are doing is that we can learn really fast if a piece of creative is going to meet our benchmarks internally and keep, and perform for us. Whereas before it was kind of a wait and see approach. Now it's let's feed as much creative as we possibly can. On that note, how do you generate your creative? What's your process for creating and testing content on channels that demand that constant feed?
And I will say that an area that we would like to explore more is on the video side. We do not do a lot from a video perspective. We have internal graphic design to be able to do static graphics, and that's been most of our focus as it relates to social media advertising or push notification advertising or email blasts or different types of banner advertising or outreach to existing customers or potential new customers. But from a video standpoint, we've done some in the commercial space. We've had some relationships with entities that we've tried, whether most of it's been through sponsorships where we had existing video or commercial spots that we could run with a minor league baseball team or with a college, that they would run spots for us via streaming. But moving into things like TikTok or things like that, we have not. That's an area where we have not really explored that. Clearly, there potentially is an option. I think our category in particular, it may be challenging where there's other categories that there's a direct path to seeing revenue from channels like TikTok. But I don't doubt the power of, if you can find the right way to do it, there's no question you can reach a lot of people that way. So.
Yeah, and I would say if for anybody anybody listening who's in that an industry with ticketed experiences, it is frustrating because you don't have I can't start up a TikTok shop where you can buy a ticket directly on the platform. It's just not one of the items that they allow. Even Google Merchant Center is restrictive on what they allow to be published. But what we can do is try to use those channels for what they're good for. So for TikTok in particular, if we're talking about reaching younger audiences, people who are trying to go to concerts and interested in that, what it is a unique awareness driver. It's a one of a kind, one of its generation awareness driver where CPMs are so impossibly low for video content, for getting it out there, that it's almost something that you could shift into an entirely top of funnel strategy, and then use your other channels to drive those people down further, into the funnel in those purchasing behaviors. It's a unique challenge that you guys have because it does require investment and time and development on multiple channels. Where would you say your biggest, your challenge on that note? Is it kind of trying to master all of those different pieces? Is it simply time? What do you guys think is the biggest barrier to your further growth right now?
Yeah, I think it's time, but a heavy amount is just resources, and being able to have the resources and be able to allocate resources to different things. And we are definitely the type that are willing to try different things and different ideas. We're working on some things that we hopefully can have launched here by the end of Q4, at latest Q1, beginning of Q1. That will be some additional differentiators to make Ticket Smarter stand out, because I think that the more that you can legitimately have something, or if you have something legitimately that stands out that no one else has, then you have definitely a unique story to tell. And I think that lends itself to being able to do things that potentially could become viral, or that people will share organically, because it's going to help them and their friends and their families, because it's beneficial. So the more you're able to do that, and have something to say, or multiple things to say, or touch points that will allow someone to feel more comfortable in utilizing your service, then I think we can dedicate more resources to doing that.
Completely.
To that
And
type
I know
of messaging.
absolutely, yeah, and I think that goes back to user experience too, right? So if you've got an edge in in an industry that there's a lot of commonality between the major players, if you can find an edge in that user experience and give them something that the other providers can't, huge advantage, and that should increase that visibility on its own. But yeah, so it sounds like there's a lot of opportunity there for sure.
100%, there is. Yeah, I mean that's the thing about this particular space. I mean, it's definitely ever changing, and there's a lot of legislation and legal aspects to this particular category, for sure, that are literally changing, day by day, week by week, and it varies federally as well as by state, and definitely by country. The UK, there was a report earlier this week that came out that said that the UK is about to announce making it illegal to charge above face value, period, for any event in the United Kingdom. And even though there's been a lot of lobbying to push back against that, and there was discussion about maybe 130% of face value, that it is our understanding that an announcement will come out any day now, or maybe even today. It was supposed to come out yesterday. I didn't see the formal document from Parliament and from the UK of what it was. So right now it's just what they're saying, but obviously that's going to dramatically change what the two main players in the UK, StubHub and Viagogo, are able to do. It could potentially, I don't know that it would render them to go out of business or pull out from the category in that country, but it will change a lot. And I don't know that the United States will ever go quite there, but there definitely has been a move towards transparency, and that in May it became federally required to display all-in pricing for everyone, including our category. It was that way in a handful of states, including California. But whether you're shopping for airline tickets or on Hotwire for a hotel, you now get all-in pricing, which for a consumer is nice. And that was definitely something in our category that was heavily manipulated and very common practice to show if someone was listing a ticket on a website, whether it was through us or any of the other players, you could have had a ticket that was $100. They would discount it to $80 or $85, and then at checkout at the end, right before you pay, you'd have a 30 to 40% fee on top of it. But they were showing a lower price up front just to make sure you made it to checkout, because the statistics showed that would help conversions and that people would still stay and buy. And now when you're on, the moment you see a price, which typically for people is when they get to the main event page where it has the map and the tickets, that is an all-in price. And so you can see all in, whether it shows the all-in price or it shows breakdown of the base price and a fee. you're getting an all-in price. And so, and when you go to checkout, it's that same price, maybe plus some taxes depending on the state, but you get an all-in price. And as a consumer, even for myself, when I go to an event, it's nice that it's definitely easier to compare when you're comparing, multiple sources and making a decision to purchase.
Yeah, I think it's definitely better consumer facing. Be honest, do we think that this is because of Oasis last year that the UK is finally making these things? I mean, I know it's been Ticketmaster and all of those have been a problem for a long time, but that was so
Oasis is a
public
big
that I
proponent
feel like,
of it. Yeah.
yeah,
Oasis is a big thing. I know that there's some big artists that live in the UK or that are, from there. People, like whether it's Dua Lipa, Ed Sheeran, Adele, Coldplay, in this latest push, because the articles that were out were saying there was likely Parliament was going to come out with a cap, not make it illegal, but a cap. And now there was a late push, I guess, to make it illegal. It is challenging though, because unlike airlines, although I guess they have dynamic pricing as well, it is very definitely the ticketing space has dynamic pricing, and the entire industry, whether it's in sports or concerts, has leaned into that, mostly to close the gap in what they were charging versus actual value. What people were willing to pay for the ticket, and so it will be interesting, even in the UK, to how are they going to police this? How face values change, even from Ticketmaster or buying from AXS or Tickets.com, whoever the primary ticketing technology is. Those face values can change. They can even change during an on sale. Taylor Swift can and Adele and Beyonce can alter the price of the tickets depending on how they're selling, on a Friday during an on sale, which is crazy. But that is a very common practice now. Before, when you would look up tickets for a concert, Coldplay, that was going to go on sale, it would show you, upper levels this price, lower levels this price, floor is this price, etc. Now, for many artists, it won't say a set price. It'll say these dynamically can change during the on sale, which is interesting. And ultimately, they're trying to get the money into the hands of the people that produce the content. And I can't blame them for that. I do think there's a market for the secondary market, no matter what. I don't know if ultimately long-term that's mostly distressed inventory where promoters or teams are having trouble selling tickets and they're working with the secondary market. I think that ultimately you'll see the rights holders actually just directly putting their inventory on the secondary market, which already does occur in the United States, some, and occurs in the UK, just because some of these major players have a huge database and following, and a lot of people will go there directly to that app or that website to purchase. And there is an argument to saying, okay, let's make sure Coldplay or Dua Lipa or Man U or Chelsea or whomever has inventory on StubHub or Viagogo. So I think that this industry, as it changes, people have to be willing and capable of adapting to what's happening, whether it's in technology or legislation. And those are the companies that will survive and thrive, and the ones that don't, they may have to go do something else.
Definitely. I mean, it's a wildly volatile, space to be in right now, but it is an interesting one. And I think that, the continued regulation or lack thereof, country per country, region per region, is going to be something that is going to be it's going to be a bit of a headache to tackle. But I think there's definitely certain, for instance, like I remember for the last Olympics, there was a secondary market for Olympic tickets, but I don't know if it was maybe it was an EU rule, but those tickets couldn't be sold. It was a part of the conditions where they couldn't be sold for more than face value. So they had an approved secondary like technology provider, I think, that they were using, even like an app or whatever, where you could resell them on that, but not for more than what they were worth. And so I think there's going to be demand for some sort of service, but in the end, it's, it does get tricky when you're limited by that. Maybe it's about building specific packages that are like where the list price is higher than the other tickets or something like that. But I'm sure that it's going to be an interesting few years to navigate.
I think so. And I think ultimately, I think in general, what still needs to happen is you should have a mechanism to allow people to resell their, we want it to be different than an airline ticket, that you should be allowed to resell the ticket if you can't go, or there's a problem, or you don't want to go. You shouldn't be so restrictive that that's not possible, to be able to at least get your money back out of it. And again, I don't know that the United States will ever go to a hard cap on you can't sell for more than face value. They could, but we'll see what happens. But I think ultimately, resale is helpful. And again, it's funny because I would tell you 50% or more of the events end up being distressed, and you can get deals on our website and others, no question, 100% below face value. That is a fact. Yeah. But what gets most of the eyeballs and the scrutiny and the headlines, of course, is tickets that were $100 or $200 that sell for $1,000 or thousands of dollars. Super Bowl tickets, Wimbledon, the Final Four, Indy 500, whatever it might be, the College Football National Championship, these high-profile events. But for every one of those, or for Beyonce's and Taylor Swift's of the world, there are just thousands and thousands of performers out there that just want to have people come and listen to their music. And there will be situations where tickets are on the secondary market for 50 to 75% of what face value was, because they're just those tickets have made their way to the secondary market, and they just want to get people in the seats. So we'll see what happens. If ultimately they do get rid of the ability to resell, it will definitely hurt the people that have the capacity to pay whatever for a ticket and now can't. Or you'll have the fear that they have now, potentially, if this gets rolled out in the UK and in other countries where it does exist, like France and Ireland and Australia, that there could be, like, through Facebook or third-party dark web marketplaces where you have less or no control to protect yourself from getting ripped off and not getting legitimate. Because that's the big thing, is that you want to make sure if you do pay for tickets, whatever the price is, and definitely if you're paying a multiple of face value, that the ticket's going to at least work and it's not fraudulent. And that's the concern with trying to maybe make something illegal, that people are still going to try to figure out, hey, I want to go see Taylor Swift and I'm willing to pay $3,000 to make my 12-year-old happy. And now I'm going to try to figure out how to do that. If it can't be done on normal channels that you're protected with a credit card and have through a company that's been around a long time, and you're doing some under the table thing, and now the ticket doesn't work, what recourse do you have? And now you got your 12-year-old daughter that's crying because the ticket didn't work to get into the building,
Yeah, completely. And it really is interesting. But yeah, you bring up a good point about like the secondary market can be a pretty valuable marketing tool for smaller artists, and for, even like college teams, even like, teams in smaller markets too, that, without those, you're relying on, it's an SEO play for them, right? It's like the platforms like yours can give them a lot more exposure and the ability to sell that reduced inventory and fill those seats when they're searching for that audience. So that's a really interesting. I feel like we could talk about this for a long time.
You could. I mean, going back to the marketing side, I will tell you that that is an evolving space, in that how people search for tickets right now is mostly through search, through Google predominantly, very much so. And then, Bing is second, but it's a distant second. Obviously, you're talking, Google has probably 80% of the share in this space. But I will tell you that, like, AI is coming on in that area. Now, Google has built an AI, but you have people now coming to our site via, Gemini and ChatGPT and ways that they're making it to Ticket Smarter. And so there's now a whole avenue of marketers that are saying, okay, you need to get your site better for for AI. So the AI engines are picking up on Ticket Smarter or these other companies. So it's just an ever evolving situation. The voice command products, because our space is so complex, have not been it has not been a big way that people search for tickets. But I think ultimately how people look for tickets 5 years from now could look and probably will look different than what it does today, and how what their behavior is, or their primary behavior to going to a particular concert or show. And that's ever evolving. And I think you'll continue to see in our space more and more partnerships, even from Ticketmasters of the world, which they continue to do deals with Spotify and other ways to get more touch points to get to consumers that enjoy a certain type of music or enjoy a certain type of artist or team, and then making it easy way for them to then go to buy tickets to go to that game or go to that concert.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I feel like the GEO aspect of it is a whole nother conversation too. But I want to close by asking you, what is your focus? What's next for Ticket Smarter? I know that you've got some things in the works that you probably can't get to, into the weeds about, but where's your focus as we close out the year and headed into the first quarter of 2026?
In general, I mean, we're going to continue working and trying to navigate and figure out ways where we can add value, where we can market and maybe do something that other players have not, or just try to do it more cost effectively, which will then pass on savings to the consumer. We do have some things that we are working on to hopefully allow Ticket Smarter to truly stand out, and hope to roll those changes out, those updates out in Q4, or possibly spill over into Q1, and that'll be exciting and definitely something that you want to keep an eye out for. But going to the holidays, you'll have. It's funny, a lot of the traffic is garnered around concert announcements, and 50% of our business is based on is on the concert side, music side of things. And this week there's been almost 50, I think, on sales that take place on Friday this week, because next week is a holiday and nobody for the most part will announce a concert to go on sale next Friday, on Black Friday. It's just not. People don't do that. Maybe there'll be a couple on sales next Wednesday, but in general, basically you had double the amount of announcements this week than all packed into 1 week, and people trying to get those concerts announced so people could buy tickets maybe as a gift for the holiday season and get those announcements out this week. There'll be more that'll be in the next couple weeks, but then the second half of December will be very light on announcements, because people do not typically announce concerts around the holidays themselves, because people are traveling and they're not online looking for tickets or paying attention that they know that they have to go in at 10 a.m. on a Friday and buy their tickets to this particular tour. But there's been some fun stuff announced this week and last week as well. AC/DC's doing a farewell tour. Journey announced a new potential farewell tour. There's a lot. I mean, it's very hard to keep up with everything, because there's obviously just so many different genres and categories of events out there. But it's a lot of fun. I mean, that's the one thing that we're dealing in. We're dealing in entertainment and things that people are very passionate about, and things that people like to do. And I think live entertainment, I was asked this a lot during COVID, do you think live entertainment will go away? And people were doing what they needed to do to get by with streaming events. But no question, once COVID ended, obviously live entertainment came back like gangbusters. And there's just something about it, whether you're at your college alma mater at some big football game with 100,000 people, or you're at a concert with 20,000 people singing every line to your favorite artist from every song. That cannot be replicated, or really, there's nothing that really makes up for that. And the artist will be also the first to tell you, the performer as well as the players that play will tell you they feed off that as well, off that energy. And so it's a cool thing. I mean, not everybody goes to live events. It's not something for everyone, but it is a neat experience, and I enjoy it personally. It's one of the reasons I got into this business, and continue to enjoy the space.
No, I mean it's true though. It's a really special and emotional experience when people think about their fondest memories of a particular artist or a sports team. They usually think about the time spent with other people, and most of the time that's at an event venue like that, and it's in person. And I feel like that's truly special. So for those listening, if you've got an artist, a special event coming up, even for someone you love, for gift giving season, if you want to learn more, go to ticketsmarter.com. Support Jeff and what they do. It's a really interesting business, and I hope that you get to go and make some new memories with tickets bought on TicketSmarter. Jeff, thanks so much.
Thanks, Rob. I appreciate it. Thank you for the time today.